here is create some basic 3D MoText. So I'm just going to go straight through this, and then we'll go through again a little bit later on. So in Cinema 4D, under my MoGraph menu, I'm going to create MoText. Okay, so that just automatically creates a block of 3D text, and what we're going to do is we're going to change the text obviously and set it up the way that we like it. So once I've created something, in my object list, which is this top right hand area, here's my MoText listed in there. When I select it, either by clicking on the name or on the object, here's its attributes down in the bottom right hand corner. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to change the actual type itself, and I'm just going to put MoText in there. I know that's not super exciting and original, but there we have it. So there's my text, and I'm going to choose a slightly more interesting font here. If we just give this a second to preview our fonts, and I just want something kind of quite blocky and solid looking. What's that one? That's not what I wanted. Where's something nice and chunky? I'm not going to spend too much time. I'll just go with this. This is blocky enough for now. Okay, so that's a little more solid. So that's just choosing my font there, and obviously if you've got bold, italic, things like that, you've got that available just underneath your font selection. Now the interesting things that we want to play with here are the depth of our text. So that is how much depth it has in our z-axis, which is our front to back axis. So if I click and drag on the little arrows to the side of the depth value, I can set up a depth for this text. And I want mine quite chunky looking, so I'm going to set it so it's fairly fat looking. Nice. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to change the spacing of my individual letters a little bit. I just want to tighten them up so they're not quite so far apart. So to do that, a little further down in this attributes is a kerning option, and there's a little checkbox that says show 3D user interface. If we turn that on, we've now got individual kerning or spacing controls for each letter. If we click and drag in the small boxes above each letter, we can fine-tune the spacing of the letters and set them up however you want them. I just want mine a little bit tighter, a little bit closer together. Okay, so that's my text made. It's got depth, I've got selected a font, and that's looking pretty good. I like it. Okay, so the other thing that I want to do, and this is really important with 3D objects, I want to change the profile of this text, and by that I mean the front shape of the letters, the front and the back shape. At the moment, the text is just flat and it extrudes directly backwards. That's fine, but it's not a particularly exciting shape. And there's another issue that's really important with this, and that is lighting. When we have a little bit more surface detail on objects, those surface details pick up light and they make the text more visible, they make it stand out. And so let's see how we can do that. What I want to do is I want to go into this caps tab for my text. So the caps are the front and the end pieces of the text. At the moment, at the start and the end, which means the front and the back, I've just got a flat cap on there. What I want to do is I want to change to what's called a fillet cap. A fillet cap is some kind of shaved off or edged cap that what we can see once we've turned that on, as soon as you start tumbling your view around, even in this basic preview window, we can see the light is hitting the edges of that text now. It's catching. We've got a much more compelling 3D looking object. We're really starting to see the shape and the form of those letters because we're catching highlights and we're getting slight shadowed areas on these edges. So what I want to do is I want to change that fillet cap. I want to change it for the front and the back so it's the same. So the start and end, I'm going to turn that on, fillet cap. We've got a bunch of options now that that's turned on. The most important option really is the fillet type. So there's a bunch of different fillet edges that we can put on here. This is a straight linear fillet at the moment. A bunch of these won't really show up. I'll come to that in a second. Ones that are a little bit more interesting are there's a two-step fillet which gives us a nice stepped edge. And these other ones that we've got near the top of the list, there's convex and concave. If we turn those on, what you'll notice is there's no difference between them. We get the same angle on both of those. These are actually curves that curve inwards and outwards, but at the moment our shape is quite simple. It doesn't have enough complexity in it to actually show those curved edges. What we need to do is change the steps value. There's a steps value for both the start and the end cap. If you set those to maybe 10 each, what you'll notice once you've set those to a higher number, if you change to a concave or a convex shape, you can actually see curvature in there. So those steps control, it's kind of like how many points there are along a curve. When it's set to 1, we just have a linear curve. We don't have any ability to produce a curve. We need sort of these steps or subpoints to produce those edges. So that is pretty much all we need to do there. So we've set up our text, we've set a font, we've given it depth, and in this cap section we have we've set up the shape of the caps, and we've set up something that looks a little bit more interesting. I'm going to leave mine on those 2-step ones because that looks quite good. I'm happy with that. And there's our 3D text made.